Hi guys, sorry I got cut off, so we're gonna have to do today's video in two parts. But I did. Leroy, come here. Want to show you Leroy, come here. There he is. He's looking like an Easter egg. Can you see him? There he is. Yeah. Can you see his beautiful colors? He's posing for you. Say hi, Leroy. Say hi. Yeah. Okay, Leroy said hi. And now he's allowing us to get back to our story. So, sorry. Two parts today. I can't believe how many creatures are here, Seth said. Kendra followed his gaze to where a group of shaggy, tawny, monkey-like creatures were leaping acrobatically along the top of a gazebo. Each seemed to have a few extra arms or legs. Not many safe places left, Doran said. Even some of the Nipsies found shelter here, the only ones who didn't go dark. Not quite half a kingdom. They're erecting a village underneath one of the gazebos. They work fast. Who are those tall women over there? Kendra asked. Those stately ladies are the dryads, wood nymphs, more approachable than the water nymphs, but not nearly as lively as the hamadryads who love to flirt. What are hamadryads? Seth asked. Dryads are beings of the forest as a whole. Hamadryads are linked to individual trees. The hamadryads are the more spirited girls you see socializing with the satyrs among the pavilions. Can you introduce me to a centaur? Seth asked. You'd have better luck introducing yourself, Doran replied sourly. Centaurs are very self-important. They've adopted the notion that satyrs are frivolous. Apparently, having a bit of fun on occasion renders us unfit for fellowship. But be my guest. Go say hello. Maybe you can join them in standing around and glaring at everyone. Are those little people dwarfs? Kendra asked. They're none too happy about being driven above ground, but any port in a storm, all sorts have sought shelter here. We even had a few brownies turn up, which can't bode well for you. We lost control of a house, Seth said. Evil brownies snagged the register. Doran shook his head sadly. Some situations have a nasty way of going from bad to worse. Doran, Grandpa said, approaching from one side, how are you holding up? I really am very sorry about Newell. Grief flickered across Doran's features. I'm getting by. He was a straw-brained, long-winded, skirt-chasing rascal, but he was my best pal. Sorry about your big islander friend. We need to get these tents up, Grandpa announced. Would you care to lend us a hand? Doran suddenly appeared uncomfortable. Right. About that, I'd love to, but the thing is, it turns out I promised a few of the dwarfs I'd swing by to see how they're settling in. He started backing away. You all mean much more to me than they do, but I can't let our special bond interfere with an ironclad commitment, especially when the little fellows are out of their element. Understandable, Grandpa said. We'll catch up more later after you get more settled. He turned and trotted away. Grandpa brushed his hands together as if wiping off dust. The most surefire way to part company with a satyr is to mention work. Why'd you scare him off? Seth asked. Because satyrs can chatter for hours, and I need Kendra to join me on the pier. Now? Kendra asked. There's no reason to delay. Let me guess, Seth said. I'm not invited. Too many spectators may impede contact, Grandpa said. You're welcome to assist Warren and Dale with the tents. Kendra, let's not forget that photograph of Patton. Because do you remember who they're going to go see? Lena. All right. Seth walked with Kendra and Grandpa toward the cart before veering away, hustling to join a line of dwarfs trooping by. None stood much taller than his waist. How are you men doing? He asked. When they looked up, he saw that despite their sparse whiskers, they were all women. One of them spat at his feet. He hopped away from the loogie. Sorry, I'm nearsighted, Seth said. The dwarfs continued on their way, paying him no further heed. Seth jogged on toward the pond. Who wanted to set up tents when all these amazing creatures were corralled for his enjoyment? Besides, it would give Warren and Dale an occasion for brotherly bonding. Seth was impressed by the quantity of satyrs. He had vaguely assumed Newell and Doran might be the only ones, but he counted at least 50 trouncing about, some older than others, some shirtless, others wearing vests, their fur ranging from black to brown to red to gold to gray to white. The satyrs possessed boundless energy. They chased hamadryads, danced in clusters, wrestled, and played spontaneous acrobatic games. Although their boisterous antics were inviting, Seth's association with Newell and Doran had stripped away some of the satyr's mystique. He was more curious to interact with the creatures he had never seen. He sidled up to the gathering of dryads. There were about 20 of the slender ladies, not one of them shorter than 6 feet tall. Several had the bronze skin of Native Americans. Some were pale, others ruddy. They all had leaves and twigs twined in their long tresses. "You've got the right idea, brother," said a voice in his ear. Startled, Seth turned and found Verl beside him gawking at the dryads. "The Hamas are girls. These are women." "I'm not after a girlfriend," Seth assured him. Verl smiled wolfishly and winked. "Right, none of us are. We're well-traveled gentlemen above all that. Look, if you need backup, just give me the signal." He nudged Seth toward the regal woman. "Save the redhead for me." The 2 redheads Seth could see were at least a head taller than Verl. Having the love-starved satyr at his side made him suddenly self-conscious. The women were not only lovely, they were intimidating in their numbers and their uncommon height. He backed away sheepishly. "No, Seth, no!" Verl panicked, falling back with him. "Don't waffle now. You were there. The black one on the left was giving you the eye. Do you need an icebreaker?" "You got me flustered," Seth muttered, continuing his retreat. "I just wanted to meet a dryad." Verl shook his head knowingly and clapped him on the back. "Don't we all?" he said. Seth shrugged away from him. "I need some alone time." Verl lifted his hands. "The man needs some space. I can relate. Want me to run interference for you? Keep away the hangers-on?" "Leroy." "No." "No." Seth stared at the satyr, uncertain what he meant. "I guess," he said. "Consider it done," Verl said. "Tell me, how did you meet Newell and Doran?" "I was accidentally stealing stew from an ogress." "Why?" "Why," he asks, "are you pulling my leg? Newell and Doran are only the coolest satyrs in all of Fablehaven. Those guys can land babes with a wink at 50 yards. Seth was beginning to grasp that Verl was the satyr equivalent of a nerd. If he wanted to get away, it would require some finesse. "Hey, Verl." "I just caught the redhead staring at you," Seth said. Verl blanched. "No." Seth tried to keep his face composed. "Absolutely. Now she's whispering to her friend. Her eyes are still on you." Verl smoothed the hand over his hair. "What's she doing now?" he asked. "I almost don't know how to describe it," said Seth. "She's smoldering at you, Verl. You should go talk to her." "Me?" he squeaked. No, not yet. I better let this simmer for a while." "Verl, this is your moment. The timing will never be better," said Seth. "I hear you, Seth, but honestly, I don't feel right about moving in on your territory. I'm no claim jumper." He raised a fist. "Good hunting." Seth watched Verl scamper hastily away, then set his eyes on the centaurs. They had not moved since Seth had spotted them. Both were men from the waist up, astonishingly broad and muscular, with brooding expressions. One had the body of a silver horse, the other was chocolate brown. After the dryads, the surly centaurs suddenly seemed much less intimidating. Seth started toward them. They watched him approach, so he kept his eyes lowered most of the way. There was no denying it. These were the most impressive creatures within view. As he drew near, Seth looked up. They glowered down at him. Seth folded his arms and glanced over his shoulder, trying to act jaded and casual. "These idiotic satyrs are driving me nuts," he said. The centaurs regarded him without comment. Seth continued, "I mean, a guy can hardly find any peace to process all the recent trouble around here and to dissect the important issues, you know." "Are you making sport of us, young human?" asked the silver centaur in a melodious baritone. Seth decided to break character. "I just wanted to meet you two," he said. We don't commonly socialize, said the Silver Centaur. We're all stuck here, Seth replied. Might as well get acquainted. The centaurs considered him grimly. Our names are difficult to pronounce in your language, said the brown centaur, his voice deeper and gruffer than the others. Mine translates to Broadhoof. Call me Cloudwing, the other said. I'm Seth. My grandfather is the caretaker. He needs more practice taking care of things, Broadhoof said. He's saved Fablehaven before, Seth countered. Give him time. No mortal is fit for such a task, Cloudwing asserted. Seth batted at a fly. I hope you're wrong. I haven't noticed many centaurs around here. Cloudwing stretched his arms, triceps bulging. Most of our kind assembled at a different refuge. The Ring of Stones? Seth asked. You know of Grunhold? Broadhoof sounded surprised. Not the name. I just heard there was another place at Fablehaven that repelled dark creatures. We belong there, with our kind, Broadhoof said. Why not make a run for it? Seth asked. Cloudwing stamped a hoof. Grunhold is far from here. Considering how the darkness is spread, it would be irresponsible to attempt the journey. Have any of your kind been contaminated? Seth asked. Broadhoof scowled. Some. 2 who were scouting with us were changed and chased us here. Not that any portion of Fablehaven will serve as a refuge much longer, Cloudwing said. I question whether any magic can indefinitely withstand such pervasive darkness. We have introduced ourselves, Broadhoof declared. If you will excuse us, young human, we prefer conversing in our own tongue. Okay. Good to meet ya, Seth said with a small wave. The centaurs gave no response, nor did they proceed to speak with each other. Seth walked away, disappointed not to hear what their language sounded like, certain their stern eyes were boring into his back. Doran was right. Centaurs were jerks. And that's where we're going to stop for today, and we will continue on a different note. I hope you're staying warm on this chilly day, and I will see you guys later. You want to say goodbye to Scooty and Leroy? There they are. Oh, yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.